All right, hey everybody. Sorry I couldn't be with you today. We're going to take some video notes here. So move your notes over from Canvas to Notability and get ready to roll. We're starting our new chapter today, Chapter 10. It's going to be a lot like Chapter 9 in that we're going to be dealing with geometry, which is shapes. So in Chapter 9, we dealt a lot with circles and some different angles. But this chapter, we're going to be dealing with stuff called surface area and volume. So today's lesson is about the surface area of prisms. More on surface area here in a minute, but let's just talk about prisms. What I want you to write next to prisms is two bases. Okay, two bases. So the first thing we're going to do is draw a parallelogram and then have all of those meet up at a point. Something like that. Ooh, those last two lines weren't very good. Something like this. So this is a pyramid because there's one base. That is not a very good pyramid, but we'll work on those a little bit more. But prism is what I want to show you how to draw. So with a prism, what we're going to do is we can draw a square, another square or rectangle up to the top right, and then we can connect those corners kind of like that. So why this is called a prism is because it's got a base here and a base here. I drew it this way because I don't want you to think a base being the bottom. Bases aren't always bottom. They're just the two faces that are congruent. Okay, so there's going to be those two sides. Now we could draw it this way where we have a parallelogram. Just drawing it like that. And then one right above it. Could have copied and pasted that and gone like this and connect those corners. That's also going to be called a prism because it's got two bases. So these are both prisms. And we'll define what kind of prisms they are and all that stuff as we move through the chapter. So we go down to our next slide and we have a launch. I want you to pause the video, please, and work on the launch. And when most of us are ready to go, press play and we'll go over the answer. Okay, so obviously perimeter, we're gonna add up all the outside edges. So I'm gonna, in blue, this 10 feet is gonna be the first one I'm gonna start with. That's pretty easy. Then I'm gonna work my way around. In red, I've got this semicircle, and that's really gonna be just be this full circle. So, and that full circle is gonna have a diameter of 8. So circumference of the full circle is gonna be pi d. 3.14 times 8, 3.14 times 8, and I get 25.12. Now I don't have to divide that in half because I've got half on one side and half on the other side, so they're just going to be the whole, that's just going to be the whole circumference. And then the last thing I need to do is think about this side here of the triangle and this side here of the triangle, plus 8 feet, plus 6 feet. Okay, so I'm going to add all those up. 10 plus 25.12 plus 8 plus 6. And I'm at 49.12 feet. So do that in this color here. Okay, so not too bad. Perimeter is going to be the outside. I think one thing that we're still kind of working on from last chapter is don't add these dotted lines in here. That's not on the outside of the shape, so it's not considered the perimeter. Okay, so I'm going to erase some of my color coding because I need to now think about area. The first thing I'm going to think about, let's do this rectangle in here. It is 10 feet. So there's that 10 right there. And then what's this side over here? Well, it's going to be the same thing as this right here. So I'm going to call this 8 feet. So this center is going to be 80 feet squared. So I know I'm starting off with 80 feet squared. And I'm going to add to that. Let's go to my circle. There's half the circle. Well, there's the other half of the circle. So that's the full circle. So I want to go pi r squared, that's going to be the area of the circle, 3.14. What's my radius? Well, looks like the whole diameter is 8, so my radius is going to be 4 squared or 16. So I get 3.14 times 16, which is 50.24 feet squared. So I know I've got that for my circles. And the last thing is our triangle. Remember, base times height divided by 2. What kids get confused with sometimes is, well, here's my base, 10, but I don't know my height going up the middle of the triangle. And I can't show you on a video, but if you kind of rotate your iPad such that, actually, you know what I could do? Take this, copy, paste image. So now what we can do is take this, and if you take this image, see if I can do this, oh, right here, and rotate it, we can see that the base is 6 feet and the height is 8. So you can turn your head or turn your iPad or take a picture and rotate it and see that we've got a triangle that has base times height, 1/2 the base of 6 times the height of 8, and 3 times half of 6 is 3, and 3 times 8 is 24 feet squared. And all we need to do is add those up. And we get 80 plus, and we get 154.42. Okay, moving on to our lesson for today. Good little review question there. Go ahead and take a minute to silent read this slide, the key ideas, and I'll go over a couple things here in a minute. So a couple kind of confusing words here is, not confusing words, but maybe confusing symbols. First off, this symbol right here, and you see it again here, that's a cursive L. So what this just means is length. And I know you guys don't learn cursive. Not all of you learn cursive anymore. So sometimes that symbol is confusing for kids. The other thing is that this lateral face, this word lateral face, this is what wraps around the base. So lateral faces are kind of what wraps around. And I've got a cool website that I'll show you real quick that shows the lateral faces really well. And I'm just going to type it. And I'll link this maybe tomorrow and we'll look at it together. But if you go down here, and you can see on this one that you can see how these lateral faces wrap around the bases. So those lateral faces are what's wrapping around. It's way easier to see. So these are the lateral faces that are going to wrap around the base. Watch this one. It's pretty cool. It looks like an axe to start. This is called a pentagonal prism. And there's the faces, and then it undoes the lateral faces, and there's the two bases. Obviously, the coolest one, the coolest prism is going to be this one, the octagonal prism. Look at all those lateral faces. Folds it up and wraps it around. Okay, now these aren't prisms here, they're pyramids, and they're cool to look at, you know, but we're not going to deal with those this lesson. So this one's kind of neat. It's like a ninja star. So back to, let's just go back to the pentagonal. What we're doing today is we're going to find the area of all these shapes and add it up. That's called the surface area. So all the bases and lateral faces and add it up. It's going to be a lot of work, and we got to keep track of what we're doing. But it's kind of satisfying when you get it at the end. So how they're going to do that is they're going to do the length times width of the base and then double it. The length times height of one of the lateral faces and then double it because there's two of those. And then the width times height, which is this one over here. And then they're going to double it because there's two of those faces. We don't have to do it this way. When I was a kid, I didn't like doing it this way. I just kind of would, as I'd find the area of this face, check it off. This one, this one, this one. I didn't use like a formula. I just kind of kept track of which face I was doing and what the area was of that. So we could do it either way. But what we're going to do is do a capital S. We're going to find the surface area of this, and this just means surface area. And we're going to use the formula for now. Just try it out. So it says 2 times LW. It's kind of hard to draw a cursive L if you've never done it before. Whoops, not times. Plus 2 times length and height plus 2 times width and height. All right, so let's do, I don't know if the color coding is going to help. All right, so length and width. That's going to be 3 and 5. Or 15. And the reason we're doing a 2 out front is because we've got 1 on the bottom and 1 on the top. So we're going to do 2 times 3 times 5. All right, then we're going to add that. Let's do in green the length of 3 times the height of 6. That's going to give us this front face, and now my colors are going to get all, and this back face. Lateral face. Okay, so we've got 2 times 3 times 6. And then we're going to add the area of width and height. And that's going to be in red over here. This face on the right and this face on the left. Okay, well, that's going to be 5. And the confusing part, and let me erase all this, is that for some kids, if this is 6 right here, then this is 6 over here. And this is 6 right here. It's 6 all the way around. Similarly, like if this is 3 down here, this is 3 up here. So what we end up getting is on that side 2 times 5, times 6. So our whole surface area is going to be, let's see, 2 times 15, 2 times 18, and 2 times 30. And then we're going to add these together, and we get 30. 36 and 60. Sorry, I changed my color up there. 156, I think. And let me check because I went really fast. Don't forget inches squared because we're dealing with area. Oh, 126. What'd I screw up? Oh, just here in my math at the end. 66 plus 60. Went too fast. 126. All right, now we're going to pause the video, and you're going to find the surface areas of number 1 and 2, and then I'll go over the answers when you're ready. Press play. All right, so first one, try it, should have been 52 feet squared. So that feels satisfying if you got that. And then this one, a little tougher, bigger numbers, 288 meters squared. Now, if you got those wrong, I'm not going to go over how to do those right now. They're more of just a quick check to see if you're kind of getting it. If we've got questions about this, ask me in Flex or in class when I get back. Example 2 is going to be a little bit different because we have to do a triangular prism. So let's go ahead and write that. Triangular, pretty phonetic, prism. Okay, and what I like is they've kind of color-coded this one for us. We've got like the red bases, we've got the blue side. This is where that formula lets us down, and that's why I don't like this formula, the 2LW, 2LH, 2WH. You just got to know, I just got to find the area of every face and add it all up. So let's start with the red triangle. It's actually one of the tougher ones to start with. So I got a red triangle on the bottom, my base, and a red triangle on top. So I've got this triangle that if I kind of sketch it over here, it looks like it's not a right triangle, but it is. So really how it looks, because there's a box in that corner, is it looks like this. And it's got a 3 meter base, a 4 meter height, and a 5 meter diagonal slanted side. So if I'm going to find the area of this, I got to do 1/2 the area of the base, excuse me, times the height. Half of 3 times 4. I don't need the 5. And I get 6 meters squared. So that means if I zoom in, this is 6 meters squared. And so is the bottom. Okay, so sometimes it can be hard, like, do I use, is this the base? Is this the base? You know, trying to think it, redrawing it is sometimes helpful. Okay, so those are those two sides. And, oh, we got to double that too. So let's do, our surface area is going to be 2 times 6, because that's my red triangles. Let's do this blue side. Now, what's cool about a triangular prism is this side isn't doubled. Right? There's not 2 of these rectangles. There's only 1. Okay, so this is going to just be 6 times 4, or 24 meters squared. And in fact, let's just write that over here, because there's only 1 of them. Okay, in green, I've got this one right here. Now I'm starting to get a little confused with what side's what. So this is definitely a 3 by, oh, what's that side? A 3 by what? Well, you got to look over here at the 6, because remember it's 6 height all the way around. So this green one is going to be a 3 by 6, or 18 meters squared. And I'm going to move this 24 in there, and that's 24. So I've got an 18. You might think, okay, I'm done. But the tricky part about triangular prisms is there is a side that we haven't done yet. And that is, if I try to maybe redraw it, there's this side on the back, and if you watch, this big one along the back that we did not account for. Okay, it's almost like if I were to look at the back of the triangular prism, there's a face back there. Well, what is that? It's this slanted 5 meters that we really haven't used yet, and this height of 6 meters. So this back one is 30 meters squared. It's the toughest one to see. So then we would add up, there's only one that we had to double. 4 plus 18, I'm gonna not use my colors anymore. So 12 plus 24 plus 18 plus 30, and we get 84. Don't forget your units, meters squared. So triangular prisms are a little bit trickier actually, because of the fact that we've got to keep track of that back side. All right, so why don't you go down to this, try it. This one's laying down on its side. Don't let that scare you. You're going to end up having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total faces to add up. Okay, go ahead and try it, and then press play when you're ready to go over the answer. All right, so the try it, hold on, let me find it. You think I have it up. Oh, right there. Try it number 3. Oh, it's not on this slide. Sorry, guys. Try number 3, 150 meters squared. If you got that, pretty satisfying. If you didn't, we can talk about it when I get back. Hopefully you can find the bug, the mistake in your work. All right, we're moving on to our last problem for today that we're going to do together. The outsides of a purple traps are coated with glue to catch emerald ash borer. And yeah, this is kind of an old textbook. The emerald ash borer has pretty much devastated all the ash trees in Ohio, unfortunately. But these traps you used to see hanging around more often. You make your own trap in the shape of a rectangular prism with an open top and bottom. Oh, so we don't have to worry about those surfaces. What is the surface area that you need to coat with glue? Well, if we have an open top and bottom, then we don't have to coat the top and bottom with glue, right? So we're only worried about 4 of the faces, not the 2 bases. So we're really just worried about lateral faces here. right, so we're going to say the surface area is going to be 2 times, let's do the front one. So I like calling them like front, back, left, and right. 20 or 12 by 20, because this height, remember, is 20 all the way around. And then I'm going to add that, let's do in red, to this side, left and right side, 10 by 20. But I got 2 of them. So my surface area is going to be, let's see, 2 times, what's that, 240? Plus 2 times 200, which is going to be 400. Right? We add these up, and we get a total surface area of 880 square inches. This is a story problem, so you know I love solution sentences. You need to coat 800 square inches with glue. All right, so that's surface area. I had to go a little fast today. I just wanted to make sure I got the video done, and hopefully it was making a little bit of sense. We can talk more tomorrow. I want to pause the video and have you guys try to work on these 3 story problems. They're tricky, and you know the dig deepers are always hard, and if you guys get really stuck on it and you just want to press play and know what the answer is, that's fine, and we can talk more about it tomorrow. Don't let it frustrate you too much. But let's press pause. Let's just work about 5 or 10 minutes on these, and then press play, and I'll give you the answers. Go. All right, so these were definitely tough. According to my answer key, and I haven't done these myself, this one was interesting because you needed to make this 4 feet, 48 inches, and convert it to inches. When you do that, you get 9,216 inches squared. More on that one later. Covering this cake, do you have to coat the bottom in cake? Or excuse me, in frosting? Interesting. It says you do not need to frost the bottom, of course. 249 inches squared, they say, is the final answer on this one. And then this one was tough. I'd be surprised if any of you got it all done. But it says that the total surface area is 36.5, what are we in, feet squared. Pretty cool if you were able to get that whole thing. I wouldn't stress too much if you got that one wrong, for sure. We are all done for today's notes. You can go ahead and do your exit slip and start your homework if there's enough time. See you later.